Hi, it's Jay, and welcome to Walk With Me, a new series that we are doing for the spring and summer in replace of Wake Up Wednesday. So before we get into it, this is an invitation to walk with me. So I'm actually walking down the street outside of my home and along the beach. You'll hear some noise, and it will be just as if we are walking together, holding an intimate conversation. And my intention is to really drop in with you and be real and raw with where I'm at. I can't wait to explain and share why I'm doing this and how excited I am. And I really hope you'll commit to walking with me once a week, every Wednesday, taking this walk. So the invitation is to move your body, to move your energy, to create some movement in your life. My friend Erin Stetland, one of our mentors in Mentor Masterclass, always says this mantra: movement in your body creates movement in your life. And that is what I'm hoping to create with you through this series over the next few seasons. So we're getting started. It's spring. Today I am 12 weeks pregnant as I'm recording this. And I want to invite you to walk with me. So if you're not moving already, put your sneakers on and get out there and start moving and walk beside me, will you? So let me share with you a little bit about why I chose to do this series. And actually, it will play into a powerful coaching technique that I use in my own personal life and with my clients that I want to teach you today. And I want to share it with you in the form of a meditation. So if you're walking, you might not be able to close your eyes, but that's perfect, because when we're moving, especially if you're outside or in nature, even if you're at the gym and you're moving, when you move, you're starting to tune into your unconscious mind. And it's really where I want to get to, a place where we can just together reflect and witness what's been going on in our lives. So one of the key reasons we show up in life in certain ways has to do with our state of mind. And our state of mind has 3 access codes. And I'm teaching this in my signature program, Mentor Masterclass, this month. In fact, I just got off of leading a call, a group of my women who are training to become mastery level life coaches and take their businesses to the next level. This month, our theme in the course is inner and outer game techniques. And one of the things that we did in an exercise in today's call is really relevant to why I created this Walk With Me series in the first place. And I think it will be really a change point for you. So I want to know if we can try this out together over the next week and see what changes we can create in our lives by reflecting on it together as we walk today. So let's see. So that's what's going on. Let me just kind of give you a personal update. If we met and we were starting on a walk, I'd be like, how are you, sister? What is really going on in your life right now? What's up for you? And so I'd love for you to think about that for a minute and what you would want to share with me. How are you really? And if you want to share that with me, you can, after our walk, shoot me an email and let me know. I read all my emails. Or even more so, if you want to share in sisterhood with all the women around the world that are going on this walk with us, you can reply in the comments below this audio on the blog and just share, how are you really? So for me, as I told you, I just hit 12 weeks being pregnant. I have officially shared it with publicly. I hadn't up until, actually at this moment, I haven't shared it publicly yet, but by the time you get this audio, I will have shared it publicly. I've had a really crazy beginning to the year. If you don't know, my mom passed away in a really tragic way, and I find out that I conceived unexpectedly, unplanned, within a few days of her death, which was just really an initiation for me of both beauty of life and death, but also really hard to be emotionally feeling so vulnerable and in such unknown territory, having never lost a parent and really never, I lost my grandma when I was younger, also in a tragic way. She was killed by a drunk driver. But I'm older now, and my relationship with my mom was very complicated, and there was so much healing work we've done over the years, but so much to process. And then while being in charge of taking care of all of her services, and then I was in the middle of a big launching my signature program when she passed, and had to travel to California to hold a service, and all the logistical pieces of closing out her life, being that I'm the oldest, and found out, the day I was going through her things, which was very emotional experience to see her writing and touch her items, and I hadn't seen her in over a year and a half. On that day is when I found out I was pregnant. So at the same time, I went through the initiation of processing, oh my gosh, we're having another baby. And my mind immediately goes to, that's a 9-month timeline of preparation for a big life change. So I'm at this point now, and the other initiation was physically. I've just been so sick, really nauseous, really having a hard time moving, very much kind of sitting in my house, just processing. And really it isn't until today that I've started to feel a little better, 12 weeks entering the second trimester. And so this was a big part of wanting to create this series for you, was accountability. I went and had an Akashic record reading, my first one ever, at Kripalu Healing Arts Center. And my guides came through and said 2 things to me then. That was about a month ago. You need to be walking every day during your pregnancy, and you really need to be expressing and sharing what you're thinking and feeling through this crazy time in your life of grief and all the emotions that come up with it, while creating this new human life. And so that kind of leads me to, I was doing some prep work for my course, Mentor Masterclass, and preparing for an in-person workshop that I led last weekend, where I met all of my students in person and taught them how to lead groups of women in sister circles. And I really began a few brand new projects. It was a shift in my energy. I started to feel it. I got to meet all these women in person and work with them through a really powerful healing circle. And I also said yes to begin filming a documentary that I've been wanting to film for a long time about the reality of freedom, time and location freedom for women who are pursuing soul-centered careers as coaches, and to track my students' process and to share the behind the scenes of my life more intimately. So I started doing all that. And I also started prepping for our content for this month, which is what I told you about, inner and outer game techniques. So your inner game is all about what's going on with you inside yourself. What are your thoughts? What are your beliefs? What are your feelings intrinsically? And how that comes out and is expressed is all part of your intrinsic experience. How you perceive the world, your relationships around you. Your state of mind really begins with your intrinsic experience. And then that translates into the external world, where we have schedules and daily life and routines and people who are all a part of our outer game. How we actually take action, how we show up in the world, is all a reflection of our outer game. And these 2 things work together really intimately to create our life experience, to actually have and create the daily things that happen to us and unfold as our story over time. And so as a coach, one of our main objectives and how I work with women is, first you have to walk your talk. Before you go and coach someone, you really need to understand these things about the mind, the neural pathways. You need to understand these tools and techniques. It's not about just reading personal development books, and your own life challenges is not what makes you become a great coach. What makes you an incredible coach is your ability to understand fully the human experience and have a strong foundation of technique that you can pull on to do transformational works with your clients. And the best way to learn those techniques is not from a textbook, but first to practice them. And so I'm so lucky because I have to learn these techniques. I've been running Mentor Masterclass for almost 7 years now. And I have to learn and walk my talk in these techniques every year when we go through the themed workbook. So I'm going through these techniques right now again for my 7th time. And that's what really has, it has this intrinsic work I'm doing for myself and for my students is what's impacting some big choices I'm making in my business and in my life. And so I want to invite you to think about this with me, and then it'll bring me into a little bit of the intention behind this series, which I hope this is the first of many conversations and walks that will go on over the next months together. So the first thing you need to know and think about is we all have a part of ourselves that is the witnessing part. So there's a part of you and I that are listening to this conversation, we're in it, we're walking together. Then there's this part of us that can witness what's happening, that can go, wow, okay, I'm hearing these things. What's my response to them? What is this trigger in me? What am I feeling as I'm in this connection with Jay? Look at the walk that I'm going on. For me, there's still snow on the ground. It's chilly out today. And I can witness all these things happening at once without being fully in them. So I want you to bring that part of yourself forward. And then just think about your own triad. So a triad is the parts of ourselves that make up our state of mind, that determine what state of mind we're going to be in for the day. And we have 3 access points to this state of mind that we can work with and that influence either consciously or unconsciously. So as we walk, what I want to do is create consciousness for ourselves around how we are contributing to and experiencing our state of mind. So the first access code is your physiology. That is movement of your body. Literally the expression on your face right now, the way you're breathing, the way you're walking, holding yourself from your toes, sweeping up to the crown of your head. So right now you're walking, which is great, but let's scan, the past few days. Just think about the past few days of your life, and I've been reflecting on mine. And just think about what your physiology has been like. And for me, I did this exercise before coming here and before getting on with my group, and then I did it again with them. And so some things that came up for me, physiology, I noticed that I feel like my brow has been furrowed a lot, my face, because of the nausea. I get these gagging reflexes. I think I've kind of physically been trying to not move to avoid discomfort. I feel like I've laid around a lot, and I feel like my physiology has been just kind of tight and reserved and protective. Just feel into yours. So that's one access point to your state of mind. And the next is your language. This is visual language, like the pictures and things you imagine and daydream about in your mind. This is the tone of voice you use when you talk, the way that you talk. Right now I'm more consciously talking because I'm recording and I'm aware that you are going to listen to this. But when I think about how I've been talking and my language and my tone and my daydreams, it's been a bit of the same, a little bit more quiet, not as expressive. My tone has been kind of not agony, but a little bit low energy and in pain or discomfort. And not really using many words, and maybe even a little bit frustrated in the tone and texture of the last few days. So scan your language and just think, what's your inner voice been like? What have your conversations been like with others? Kind of witness what your language has been like. And then the final code, so to speak, to your state of mind is your beliefs and your focus. So beliefs are just anything that you think is true. And focus, is obvious. What has your attention been on? And so just think about that for the last few days as this truck goes by us. What have you been focusing on? Just think about what you've been believing is true. It's always great to even just remember that beliefs are not facts. And to just check in with what we have been making true in our lives. So, for me, I've been really focused on taking care of myself, trying not to throw up, spending time with my daughter. I was really focused on prepping for this retreat and having a good experience, and coming home and kind of preparing for a new stage in my life this trimester, knowing I might have a little more energy and feel better, and lots of things I want to do to set myself up for a spacious maternity leave later. So I've just been thinking about what I want to create and how I want to play and what's important in my business and life right now. So what have you been? And I've been believing, some good things. I've been believing that I can do this pregnancy different, and that I really don't have to work hard this year, that I'll be taken care of, that I've worked hard and created solid structures. And I've also been believing that all the things that aren't working in life and business are good for me, because they're changes that are helping me to shift into something even better. And I've been believing that when I hit 12 weeks, I would be better. So I'll get into that in a minute, but those are some of the things I noticed. And I've been focused on the creative thoughts that have been moving through me and wanting to do something with them. Yeah, so now that you felt into those things, I just want you to think about if the combination of those things are making up, you feeling the way that you want to feel in your life. And if it's the highest good state of mind for you. And just what is coming into your awareness as you think about the things you've been believing and focused on, the language you've been using, your physical body, how you've been holding yourself. Is that the state of mind that's most desirable and going to get you what's most important in your life experience right now? So for me, I recognize that the answer is no. I feel like I've been letting my emotions and physical discomfort take over my whole life, and I haven't really initiated how I can be in a different relationship and state of mind with it. I've been thinking about it, but I haven't really taken action until today after doing this work and becoming aware. And so I'm taking this intrinsic reflection and creating some outer action by actually being in creativity and doing something I've wanted to do for a long time. Creating this Walk With Me series has accountability to be in movement and to walk every day and to create a more intimate connection with you and to really, after the surveys I received from all of the women I've been walking with virtually, to actually create a space to work with you more intimately in this way. And it also is, it's like I'm getting to kill two birds with one stone. I'm getting to focus on my creativity and my vitality at the same time. And that's where this idea even emerged from recognizing that my vitality and creativity was really not being met, was really not being nurtured. An idea actually sprung up in my mission, in my work in the world, for how I could better nurture those things all at the same time. So spending less time doing things that are hard or don't feel good, and spending more time walking my talk and taking care of myself, and that actually translating into doing my work in the world. And so I want you to think about, this is how it all started for me. This idea, this action started from this intrinsic reflection, noticing what was off. So as you notice that something might be off for you in one or all three of those areas that trigger your state of mind, what you can bring forward is, how do you want to feel instead? Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? How do you want to be showing up? And if you could narrow that down to one word, what would that word be? And it might be a word, it might be a phrase. So for me, what came forward was movement. To be in movement, to be creating forward momentum in my life. And as I thought about that word, then the next invitation is to use those control codes to then change your actual state of mind, to change your view of the world and the way everything's working. Because when you change your state of mind, you have access to different information. You have access to a whole new experience. You have access to new ideas. You have access to feeling a different way and believing different things. So let's try this. Think about what your word is, the way you want to feel, the way that who you want to be, how you want to be showing up, if you can narrow that down to one word or one phrase. And then if we play with that physiologically, so actually put that expression on your face. So if I want to feel movement and in motion, that I feel like my face is actually not, my gaze is not inward, it becomes outward because I'm moving around. I'm seeing the world around me. I have access to different things instead of just focusing on my physical discomfort. And, now my body is actually moving. So that's what inspired me I need to be walking. I need to be in fresh air. So I want you to think about that right now. Put the look on your face that you would have if you felt the way you want to feel, that word that you chose. And walk the way you would walk if you felt that way. And maybe make a move that you don't actually normally make, that you would make if you were feeling that word. And now let's take your language. I want you to actually think of something that you can say. Like when I did this, I actually felt like I said Erin's mantra out loud. Movement in your body creates movement in your life. And really start to visualize in your mind, using the language of your intrinsic experience, visualize in your mind what you would see if you were feeling the way, something that makes you see it, you feel the way you want to feel. Like for me, that vision was the water and the beach. Moving tide, the fresh air, the sun. And even think about your tone of voice. What tone would you use and what different words would you use if you were feeling that way, that word? If you were embodying that word. And what would change about the way you speak to yourself in your inner voice if you were coming from that word instead? And now let's get into your beliefs and your focus. What would you focus on instead if you were embodying your word? So what would I focus on? If I was embodying movement and momentum, what would I focus on? So my focus would be, for me, it became this idea of how am I going to get on that walk every day for 30 minutes? Instead of focusing on what can I do to stop myself from gagging or throwing up, which usually meant sitting still or laying in bed. And I want you to think about something that maybe has been preventing you from feeling that word, something that's been challenging or frustrating. And then ask yourself, if I'm feeling and embodying my word, does that thing even matter anymore? For example, if I'm embodying movement, if I am bringing forward momentum, does this illness stop me? Does this nausea from my first trimester even matter? Like, does it matter if I'm in my bathroom feeling sick or in my bed, or if I'm in the fresh air in the sun? Like, can I still move with it? And even the belief itself, shifting my belief and my physiology has had me actually physically feel better. So how would what you believe even change if you embodied your word? And as you're processing all this, maybe there's a way that you're already starting to see or have an experience of or feel an invitation to an outward commitment, a declaration that you want to make, something that you want to actually do in your outer world, in your schedule, something you want to put in your calendar or commit to, space that you want to create to actively initiate this new state of mind, this new way of being. And I want to take you a step further into reflecting. Let's just see if what's coming up is really potent for you and really meant to be revealed in our walk today. To really invite you to take this into your outer world, to make a shift that actually is going to change your life over the next week. So when I work with women, there's 6 themes that I know if they are nurturing these themes and really working to have these themes be met at a level 10 in their life, they're going to have a balance. They're going to have a balance between masculine structure, between certainty and safety that they're creating for themselves, and feminine flow, the ability to be playful and sensual and fierce in their lives, in their relationships, in their work, in their health. One of my students today in our call actually shared it like an oak tree. Like, she has this vision of being like an oak tree, her roots deeply rooted in the ground, with this playful, intuitive feeling sense, like the leaves of the top that can move and bend and flow and experience. So the 6 themes, I want you to think about these and ask yourself, as we're walking, level 1 to 10, how are they being met? So 1 is they're not being nurtured at all, and they're totally forgotten, not having a good experience with, and 10 being top-notch, totally on it, feels great, and identifying what the number is between 1 to 10 that feels true for you in these 6 areas. So first, your vitality. Think about your health, your physical body, your space for nurturing your energy. Level 1 to 10. So when I did this exercise the first time, I had a 2 for that. Now think about your creativity, your openness, your adventure, intuitive space, ideas, and creation. Level 1 to 10. So for me, this is a 5. Now think about connection. Your connection to spirit, yourself, relationships, women in your life, family. Level 1 to 10. I had a 7 for this. And now we're getting into the structure, certainty pieces, the masculine side. So vitality, creativity, connection, keys to your feminine essence, and fierce flow. And now the more masculine, stable structures that create a grounded sense of certainty. So money and finances, your ability to generate money when you need it and to be engaged with it, to have a level of engagement with it, level 1 to 10. Next is time. Time is really just emotion, and you have the ability to weave time with your hips, your intention, your declaration. So have you been believing that and activating that ability? If you had a strong boundary in relationship to intentional time, 1 to 10. So I had a 8 with that. And finally, mission and purpose. Backing up your mission in life. Being in alignment with a deeper purpose. Level 1 to 10. So that was a 4 for me right now. Before this walk. So now that you have these, you can see, I want you to look at the areas that are low. So for me, the lowest were vitality and mission and creativity. And as I tuned into those, asked myself, what's the commitment that I can make in my life that would have me nurture these in a better way? And the commitment that came forward was to finally launch this Walk With Me series. And the second was, in that same Akashic record reading, she told me that I have anger and frustration that I am not expressing, that I've been too quiet and too filtered with what I've been sharing, even with myself, not journaling enough, and it's true. I have not really posted on social media for months. I have not really been journaling at all. And so I needed to take a big action in letting and holding space for myself to process grief. So I actually signed up for a grief writing workshop that I start tonight. And I actually started this series, the first recording of many, went on this walk today as part of a commitment to walk for 30 minutes every day. And once a week, I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to walk with you so that I can be more creative and share a lot of the ideas and healing work that I've been doing behind the scenes, what I've learned over 7 years of working with powerful women who have stepped into their purpose and helped them go through a year of transformation to launch their coaching business, and if they've already had a business, take their income to 6 figures and beyond, doing work that they love that's based on living their life first. I have so much to share with you, so many things I've wanted to create. And so this is part of that action, and starting to share it with you in this series. Through our walks, I'm going to talk with you about what's happening behind the scenes filming this new documentary, what my pregnancy is like as I prepare to run a team and my almost $1 million business while prioritizing my family and my self-care and becoming a mom of 2. We'll find the gender out soon. I'll be sharing with you how I'm feeling. So when vitality and creativity came up as low for me, these are ideas I have. I can actually move and walk and create and be in alignment with my mission at the same time. And how will I do those things? Through this grief writing workshop that's going to help me to move energy that's been keeping my vitality stale and keeping me small, so I can deeper process what I'm feeling as I'm going through that, and my pregnancy. Creating some new pieces of work in the world through this documentary and this Walk With Me series, and moving my body to create movement in my life. So I want to hear from you. What came up for you today as you looked at where your state of mind has been and where you want it to be to create a better life? And look at these 6 areas of your life and you see what's low, is there a commitment or a declaration that comes through? If it resonates with you, if it supports you, I'd love for you to walk with me through this series every Wednesday and go on these walks with me. And I promise to bring real, raw, vulnerable conversations so we can get to know each other better and create opportunities for me to get to know you through specific questions and exercises, and also to bring you some of my best insights that I use in my personal healing, teach my students in my paid programs that can support you over the next few weeks in having a really powerful shift. So I hope you'll take some time to either send me an email, jey@jeannineyoder.com, but I'd really like you to share in sisterhood, because in sisterhood, when we declare in sisterhood, and there are powerful women holding a vision for us, we form incredible connections and collaboration. So use the comments on the blog below this episode to let me know what you're committed to, what came through. Share how are you really, just a personal update. And then after listening to this, what's the intrinsic shift and outer game shift that you are going to make in your life? And what specifically are you committing to really experience something different this week? So just for this week, what's your commitment this week? And I'll meet you next week in our next Walk With Me episode with some follow-up, some new insights, and whatever is real happening for me. And I've made my declaration that I'll be putting these episodes out once a week, walking every day for 30 minutes, and starting this grief writing workshop, which will have me sharing more publicly what's happening there. So I share a lot on my Instagram account, which is Jeannine.Yoder. Hope you'll follow me there. Thank you for walking with me. That was our 30-minute walk for today. I can't wait to see you, catch up, and walk next week.